at least until the model year of 2022. So the Carnival, of course, will be competing with other vehicles like the Toyota Sienna, like the Honda Odyssey, like the Chrysler Pacifica. Plenty of unique characteristics to this one. I'm going to be showing you guys all of those things that you probably have never seen on a van before. And of course, to go along with that, you do have America's best warranty as well, being 5-year 60,000 mile bumper to bumper, 10-year 100,000 miles on the powertrain. And so in this video, I will be testing out everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all of that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. So as you can expect, there are several different trim levels for the 2022 Carnival. First one being the LX, starting at $32,100. LX seat package for $34,100. EX for $37,600. SX for $41,100. And lastly, the one we have today being the SX Prestige, starting at $46,100. But so regardless of trim level that you end up going with, the power plant on the Carnival is going to be the same. Powering this beast is a 3.5 liter direct injected V6, putting out 290 horsepower at 6,400 RPM, 262 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 5,000 RPM. Power sent to the front wheels through an 8-speed automatic, giving you a 0 to 60 time coming in at approximately 7.5 seconds. We will test that out in a little bit here, of course. MPG numbers for the Carnival come in at 19 in the city, 26 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Carnival, I did want to mention the drive modes. And so there is a drive mode button that is located directly behind the shifter. When you press that, you have normal, eco, sport, and smart, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity as well. And not to mention the gauges. That is one of the sweetest adjustments when it comes to the drive modes. And I'll show you guys the gauges a little bit later in the video, but it completely changes the look. It's absolutely awesome. I love it. But so anyways, now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway here. Let's put the Carnival here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, you guys, this looks like a good spot in 3, 2, 1. A little bit of spinning, not much though. Not bad. It's certainly not going to have any issues emerging onto the highway in this thing. That was actually a decent acceleration. Now, having said that, like I said, there was a little bit of spinning, so wouldn't have minded maybe an all-wheel drive system just to connect a little bit better with the road there. Not only that, of course, the snow as well, but that was really good acceleration, honestly, for a van without a doubt. So let me just put it that way. Again, you're not going to have any issues emerging onto the highway. That was kind of fun. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 12.8-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 12.8-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60 to 0 stopping distance goes, let me tell you guys right now, 118 feet. If you were to compare that to the 3 main competition for this thing, the Sienna comes in at 131 feet, the Odyssey comes in at 124, and the Pacifica 130. So 118 feet does take the prize as far as braking goes. And as far as the braking feel goes, it's perfectly fine. It certainly brings you to a very nice stop. It's not too soft, not on the firm side either, but it definitely is just right for what this vehicle is. I'll just put it that way. So braking is excellent. That's definitely something I want to emphasize, because when you need to come to a quick stop, maybe on the highway and you got kids in the car, you don't want to get into an accident. So braking is definitely very important. But anyways, then touching on suspension and handling. Up front, you're gonna get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, of course, front and rear stabilizer bars. As far as the ride quality goes, I will say I was kind of impressed. I still am kind of impressed, of course, I'm still driving it, but the ride quality actually took me by surprise. It is a very smooth ride, believe it or not. Even without an adaptive suspension, even without an air suspension. Again, for what this vehicle is, I think it rides a lot smoother than most of the SUVs that I test out, to be quite honest. So I was kind of surprised there. Ride quality is quite nice here in the Carnival, without a doubt. As far as steering feel goes, it definitely leans towards the looser side. It's pretty much as expected, so you're not going to get that crisp feel instantly pointing you in the direction that you want to go. But again, that's not really expected. It's definitely a looser steering feel, without a doubt. As far as cabin noise goes, it was okay. And let me emphasize a little bit on that because it actually is going to differ amongst the trim levels. So for all trim levels, you will get an acoustic laminated front windshield. For the SX trim levels only, you're also going to get acoustic laminated front door glass. But at higher speeds, for whatever reason, you do get a little bit of wind noise coming from the driver's side, at least. So there's a little bit of that, and that's something that Hyundai, Kia, even sometimes Genesis is known for. But I will say it's not bad. I've heard worse, but there is a little bit of wind noise coming from the driver's side at higher speeds at least. But at lower speeds, it's pretty serene cabin, I will say that. So overall, no issues with the cabin noise, besides that little bit coming from the driver's side. But then touching on visibility, I can see perfectly fine out the back, to be quite honest. And one of the best parts about that visibility is that the third row headrest, they actually tuck down into the seat. So if there are not anybody in that third row, it certainly presents better visibility back there. So that is a big win for me. And if you were to go with the SX Prestige trim level only, you will also get a blind view monitor as well. Essentially what that is, so when you put on the turn signal, it's actually going to display what is in your blind spot up on the digital gauges up front here. And it's actually quite good as well. I actually prefer that to like the blind spot monitoring system found in the side mirrors because it gives you more of a range of what is in your blind spot than you would otherwise get. So I absolutely love that. But having said all that, that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and find a really nice spot here on the lake, and let's take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2022 Kia Carnival. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2022 Kia Carnival, finished in Astra Blue. In case anybody was curious of our exterior color name, beautiful here on the lake. I thought it went pretty well with the color of this thing. But anyways, very SUV-like styling for this van, which I absolutely love. Very nice look to it, especially up front. There's so many cool little aspects and quirks to this thing. So let's go ahead and start up front where the quirks begin here. Silver painted rectangular designed front grille for the LX trims and the EX, and there will be a matte chrome finish then for the SX trims. And that of course is what you guys are looking at right now. Silver accents on the front bumper for the LX trims and also the EX. Then you will get satin chrome finish then for the SX trim levels, of course. Multi-reflector halogen headlights coming with the LX trims and also the EX as well. And then full LED headlights coming with the SX trim levels, and of course they will come with the automatic feature, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, those headlights will turn on automatically for you there. And of course LED daytime running lights coming with that as well, and it's actually a very cool design to the LED daytime running lights. I love the way they designed that, so big fan of that. High beams are actually, if you guys can tell, let me show you guys real quick. Let me zoom in here. The low beams, of course, are on the side as expected, but the high beams are actually integrated then into part of the front grille. And so they're going to be in those upper corners of the front grille. So if you actually turn on your high beams, that is where you're going to be looking. So definitely a unique look to it. You wouldn't have thought they would be in the front grille, but I actually do like the design of that. I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, new Kia front logo. You guys can see that located on the front portion of the hood there. That looks pretty darn good as well. I actually do really like the redesign of the logo as well. So pretty cool look to it. LED fog lights coming with the SX trims. You guys can see those down below. That's pretty cool. And you're actually going to get front and rear skid plates if you were to go with one of the SX trims as well. So did want to mention that too. But overall, again, very SUV-like styling, very good look up front here. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the side of the Carnival. All right, so now since we are to the side, let's go ahead and start up top there. Roof rails coming with the SX trim level only. Rear privacy glass coming standard across the board. Black window surrounds coming standard across the board. But my favorite part about the side profile to the Carnival is that C-pillar. You guys can see there is a diamond pattern design on the C-pillar there. It's going to come with a satin chrome finish for the SX trim levels, and then a silver finish if you go with the LX trims or the EX trim. So that is a pretty cool looking design. It's like nothing else really on the road. And again, I love the diamond pattern aspect, which actually they carry that design aspect into the interior of the Carnival then as well. And I'll show you guys that in the next segment of this review. But chrome accents on the door handles also coming standard across the board. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors coming standard. They will be heated for all trim levels as well, with integrated turn signals for all trim levels as well too. Power folding side mirrors coming with the SX trim levels. So when you lock or unlock this thing, those power folding side mirrors will fold in or out, of course. Taking a look down at the bottom, you will find silver accenting on the side skirts across the board. And then taking a look down at the wheel configuration, 17-inch silver painted alloys for the LX trims, 19-inch machine finished alloys then for the EX, and 19-inch gloss black alloys then for the SX trim levels. So that is how they're going to be set up. But I will say these gloss black wheels with all of our other satin chrome accents on this thing, I think they would have looked pretty darn good in maybe a machine finished or a silver painted finish as opposed to the black ones. But there is black windows surround, so overall definitely a very nice profile. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back of the Carnival. All right, and so now since we are around back all the way to the top, body colored shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. Just below that, there is a rear window wiper, believe it or not. And actually, let me actually show you guys. It's not asphyxiated to the rear glass. It's actually tucked away up underneath of that rear spoiler, if you guys can see that. Kind of like the Chevy Suburban and the Chevy Tahoe. That is what they do as well. And actually, I prefer that because it's better visibility. You don't have that rear windshield wiper blocking anything, although it's not bad with it. I'm just saying it's a little bit better without it. But anyways, LED taillights do come standard on the EX and the SX trims. And not only that, you guys can see it's just a horizontal kind of design to it. But once you actually get the lights on, it is a pretty cool design to those LEDs. So I did want to show that to you guys here. I did take a night shot. So again, you wouldn't think it would be designed that way, but it is pretty cool look back there. But anyway, silver or satin chrome tailgate accents, again, dependent upon which trim level that you go with. You do have Carnival lettering found on the bottom left-hand portion of that rear tailgate there. And of course, just below it all, you will actually find a single exhaust outlet tucked away. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so now since we are around back of the Carnival, when it comes to opening that rear tailgate, there are several different ways to go ahead and do that. First way is there is a hands-free power tailgate for the SX trims and of course the EX then as well. So that is one way. There is also a button on the key fob itself. Simply just press down and hold that. That is another way. There is a button, of course, on the lift gate itself then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 40.2 cubic feet behind that third row, which actually is a decent amount. It was a pretty deep cargo area as well. So a lot of times you're not going to find that much storage that actually goes down that deep. So that is pretty cool. So if that was not enough space, of course, that third row does fold down. There's a 60-40 split there. And it was pretty easy to fold that third row down. There's simply a lever and then a string that you pull on, and then it can actually fold down into that cargo area that you were just looking at, of course. And that bumps it up pretty substantially. And then overall, when it comes to overall cargo capacity, that comes in at 145.1 cubic feet. So for comparison's sake, let's compare it to the Honda Odyssey, 144.9. So little bit more, but really they are about the same when it comes to cargo capacity. So a very good bit of space. And if you were comparing this maybe to the Kia Telluride, it's going to come in at right around 87 cubic feet. So this is going to have more space than the Telluride, in case you were comparing those. But anyways, I did want to also mention, if you did need all of that cargo capacity, again, the third row is going to fold down into that cargo area, and there actually is a removable second row, so you can completely remove those second row seats if you wanted to. So did want to mention that as well. But anyways, also in that cargo area, you of course will find some LED lighting here for our SX trims. There is plenty of grocery bag hooks. There is also little cubby or storage areas found on the sides. That was pretty cool. I liked seeing that. There is a 12-volt power outlet back there as well, and to my surprise, a 115-volt power outlet. So that is pretty cool too. So I can maybe charge up my drill back there if I wanted to. But anyways, so now go ahead and make our way to the rear legroom for the third row. That is going to come in at 35.6 inches, which actually is kind of impressive, to be honest, for a third row. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in that third row. Do want to also mention though, for all trim levels, you will find third row USB charging ports. You almost never find that. So if you had some third row passengers, some kids in the third row, they will stay charged up. Their tablets or phones will stay charged up. So that was pretty cool to see. Rear ventilation, of course, coming standard for all trim levels. That is actually found on the roof or the ceiling of this Carnival. That is pretty cool as well. And you will find some third row cup holders, and the very best part, in my personal opinion, third row rear window sunshades. You never find that. I've never seen that before. Even on Mercedes, BMW, things like that, Usually the second row window sunshades, yes, but never the third row. So that was pretty darn cool, at least to me. But anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way up to the second row legroom. That is going to come in at 40.5 inches. So for reference, again, I'm even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I have back there. Of course, second row USB charging ports do come standard. That 115 volt power outlet coming with the SX trim levels only. We'll also get another one of those for the second row passengers. Pretty cool. Tri-zone climate control coming with the EX trim level and up, meaning those rear passengers can set their own temperatures then as well if they wanted to. Second row window sunshades can also be found back there. And I know everyone is going to ask, when it comes to 8 passenger versus 7 passenger seating, it does depend upon the trim level that you go with. So here's the breakdown there. If you go with the EX trim or the SX trim, you will find 8 passenger seating, and also the LX seating package that is going to give you 8 passenger seating as well. Then if you wanted the captain's chairs in the second row or 7 passenger seating, go with that bottom LX trim level or the top SX Prestige. That is how you're going to go ahead and get the captain's chairs. But anyways, VIP lounge seats, let me emphasize so much on these right now, for coming for the SX Prestige that we have today. And so of course those second row seats can fold all the way down, but then you got the footrest as well. That is the lounge portion of the lounge seats, and that is absolutely amazing. You never see that in anything other than luxury vehicles like Mercedes-Benz or something like that. So I was a huge fan of that, and I did play around with that quite a bit. It was pretty cool and quite relaxing. You can definitely see yourself relaxing back there, maybe on a lunch break or something, or maybe your kids just want to take a nap in that second row. I don't know, but they were pretty cool. Not to mention the headrest, and I don't think Kia even lists that as a feature on their website, but if you guys look at those second row headrests, it kind of goes with the napping theme. They're like pillows, man. They're even more comfortable than the first row headrests for the driver and passenger. They're pretty darn cool, absolutely amazing. So definitely a very nice setup if you wanted to take a nap, at least in the second row. So pretty cool. Not to mention, another cool factor with those seats is you of course can slide them forward and back, but they do actually slide left and right or horizontal. So that is a pretty cool feature. I was not expecting to see that either. There's a little bit of storage just in front of those second row passengers then as well. And by the way, the USB charging ports, in case anybody was curious, they're found on the side of these front row seats. So that is because typically the alternative is putting in the back portion of this center armrest, and then people that are getting into the second row here sometimes trip on the cords or the cables or whatever. So if you put them on the sides of these front row seats, kind of eliminates that issue. But perhaps my favorite part about those second row passengers, the way they got it set up there, is the rear seat entertainment system coming with the SX Prestige. And so there's really 2 different setups you can go with. There's kind of the adult setup and the kids setup. If you were to go with the kids setup, you have 2 options. You have YouTube Kids, which of course my kids are personally obsessed with, and then you have the Baby Shark app, which is pretty freaking cool. So tons of different Baby Shark songs, not just your typical Baby Shark song, but also ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, all that fun stuff. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. So if you have kids, you understand how important these things are to keep your kids happy in the second row, so you don't have to listen to the whining or whatever. That is pretty cool. Well done, Kia. I love that. And there's also sounds of nature back there, which are kind of new. A lot of these sounds of nature are new for Kia / Hyundai / Genesis. So I haven't seen them before, and they're different actually than what is in the front. So kind of interesting there. But anyways, I'll play the sounds of nature once we get to the front infotainment portion here. But overall, rear seat entertainment system was absolutely wonderful, and I love that they are back there, especially if you have kids. You will appreciate that. But so anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way to the front seats on this thing. 6-way manually adjustable cloth seats coming with the LX. LX seat package then adds Syntex upholstery, a 10-way power driver seat with 2-way power lumbar, heated front seats then as well. And then if you were to go with the EX, it's going to be essentially the same as the LX seat package. SX trim level is going to add an 8-way power adjustable passenger seat, also ventilated front seats then as well. And then lastly, if you go with the SX Prestige that we have today, you will find full perforated leather seating. So a very nice feel to it. And overall, seat comfort was absolutely fine. Again, when they are 10-way power adjustable with power lumbar, you're definitely not going to have any issues there. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping, of course. It is leather wrapped. If you were to go with the LX seat package trim level and up, that is how you're going to go ahead and get that. And if you wanted a heated steering wheel, you were going to have to go with the SX Prestige trim level that we have today. That's how you're going to go ahead and get that. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. It is a pretty fancy key here. You do have your Kia logo, your new Kia logo, on the one side, along with a few buttons including your remote start, which you simply hold down for. By the way, that remote start does come standard on all trim levels, by the way, even the LX. That is pretty cool. Then the two buttons just below that are going to be the power opening side doors, in case you were curious about them, which is pretty cool. And then all of the rest of your buttons are located on the side of the key. You got lock, unlock, and that button to pop the rear tailgate, of course, as well. But now, of course, it is a push button start for all trim levels across the board. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located just below the air vents there. But then once started up, another one of my favorite parts about this one, I will say it does differ. Analog gauges are going to come with all trim levels, but the SX Prestige that we have today, because the one that we have today is going to be the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. And so this is my favorite. I have digital gauges in my car, my Hyundai Sonata. I love them. I love this as well. And the best part about these gauges, let me just show you right off the bat. When you change the drive modes, let's say you're in Eco, it's going to give you these blue hues. If you put it in Sport, it's going to give you red and silver. If you put it in Smart, you're going to get some black hues along with normal as well. But overall, the gauges just change up so much. It really allows you to customize it, and I absolutely love that. Definitely a very sick looking gauge cluster if you ask me, but of course you can completely adjust that by using the steering wheel mounted controls found on the right side of the steering wheel here. I have the digital readout of my speed up there right now, but there's also a compass you can display up there, tire pressure, safety information at any given time. There's the driver attention monitoring system, trip A, trip B, of course, when you need your next oil change. Also, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. I always like to mention that one because right now we got 369 miles left until empty, and we got right around a full tank, although I have been driving a good bit today. So that is a decent amount of range here for the Carnival, I will say that. So overall, love the gauge cluster. And again, when you put your turn signal on, you have that blind spot view monitor displaying up in the digital portion of the gauges as well. And you do need that digital gauge cluster for the blind spot view monitor, so I do want to mention that. But anyways, let's not go past the gauges. Let's make our way to overall interior quality. Dual power sunroofs coming with the SX Prestige. Essentially what that means is the driver and passenger have their own personal sunroof, and the second row passengers also have theirs as well. It's found towards the back there. So they are separated. It's a pretty cool look. But LED interior lighting, wanted to mention that to you guys, coming with the SX Prestige that we have today. I did wake up at 5 something this morning, so I was able to show that to you guys when it was a little darker out. So that is what, of course, I am showing you right now. It's a pretty cool look. I love LEDs on the interior. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls coming with the SX Prestige trim level only. Wireless phone charger coming with the EX trim level and up. That is pretty cool. It's located just in front of the cup holders there. Tri-zone climate control coming with the EX trim level and up. There is 3D embossed accents coming with the SX trims. And again, there's 3D embossed accents. It kind of ties together with that exterior C-pillar I was telling you guys about. It kind of brings that design just below the infotainment screen, just above the passenger side glove box. And it is a 3D effect. If you feel it, it's actually texturized. So it is pretty cool. I like that. It's a nice design element to the Carnival without a doubt. But I will say, if you go with the EX trim, it's going to differ a little bit, giving you open pore wood graphics. So a little bit different setup there. But overall, let me tell you guys, seriously surprised. The interior quality is almost flawless here in the Carnival. And I know specifically with the competition with other vans, you definitely do not get this type of interior quality. Of course, like I was just mentioning, just above the passenger side glove box. But if you look on the doors itself, you have a bunch of gloss black accents, which are extremely easy to clean. I have tons of those in my own vehicle. They're very easy to clean. Also, you have this very soft leather found on the doors, found in this cool orange color. I personally love that. You have a lot of soft touch material found just above those embossed accents with stitching going through that. You also have this nice silver accent line running right through the air vents there. That is pretty cool as well. Even the push button start is a nice silver finish to it as opposed to a plastic finish, which some other manufacturers do give you. I also like that all the climate control is digitalized, so that is pretty cool as well. But just in front of the shifter, you actually have 3 USB charging ports, a little bit of storage, and again, that wireless phone charger. Just to the right of the shifter, you have 2 cup holders, a little slot where you can put yourself in if you prefer to put it there. There's an electromechanical parking brake just behind the shifter then. All of your heated and ventilated seat buttons are going to be located just behind the cup holders yet again. There is a little bit more storage behind that. And within the center armrest, plenty of space within that as well. So overall, Honestly, interior quality seriously surprised you. I think the only thing that can make the interior quality better is maybe if they brought that nice suede-ish headliner that they use in the Telluride onto the Carnival here. That would be the only thing I could possibly think of at this point. So overall, interior quality is stellar. I absolutely love it. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen. 8-inch color touchscreen display coming with the LX and the LX seat package. 12.3-inch color touchscreen display coming with the EX trim level and up. Both are going to give you Bluetooth and audio streaming. Both will give you Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Factory navigation system is going to come with the EX trim level and up, but in addition to that, you also get a voice memo system, which I always find is pretty cool. You can record your voice and then play it back at a later date if maybe you didn't want to forget something or something like that. Sounds of nature, again, like I was telling you guys about for the rear passengers, they have a little bit more options back there, believe it or not, but let me go ahead and take a break here and just play you guys some of those sounds of nature just so you know what I'm talking about. I will be right back. And so in addition to that, the quirky little features don't stop with the infotainment screen there. There is a quiet mode, which essentially turns off the volume for the rear speakers and then limits the volume to a certain number in the front. I believe it's maybe like 7. So if you have passengers in the back that are sleeping maybe with those second row lounge seats and you wanted to keep them asleep, quiet mode is going to assist you in doing that. But one of my favorite features is the passenger view button, their passenger view app that you can see up on the infotainment screen. So there's a little camera located on the ceiling here for the rear passengers. It's going to shine down. So if you wanted a better view of what the rear passengers are actually doing, maybe the kids are fighting or something, you have the ability to do that through this passenger view app. And you can even zoom in by using the kind of pinch and swipe motions to see better what they are doing or what they should not be doing, which is pretty darn cool as well. Is one of the coolest things I've found about the Carnival. And there's so many cool little quirks about this thing, let me tell you. But overall, definitely love the infotainment screen. It's of course massive at this 12.3-inch screen and actually ties in, of course, with the 12.3-inch digital gauges. So overall, I absolutely love it. But of course, you can check out the radio information as well. So let me now get to the sound systems here in the Carnival. 6 speakers coming with the LX trims, 8 speakers coming with the EX and SX. Then you will get a 12-speaker Bose sound system then for the SX Prestige that we have today. Pretty cool speaker design as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and turn on the radio now, see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. I haven't listened to country in a while, but that wasn't bad. I will say that was just standard radio. It wasn't Sirius XM or connection to my phone or anything like that. So the radio quality itself wasn't the best because that's what radio is these days, but still, not that bad of a sound system. I could definitely tell there was a ton of bass in this thing, plenty of clarity. So really, Bose sound systems, I've had them in my vehicles before. They've never failed me. They've never broken on me. So plenty of a sound system without a doubt for the Carnival. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys is when you do put this thing in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. Not only that, if you were to go with the SX trim levels, you're also going to get a surround view monitor giving you that bird's eye view of everything all around you, and that, as always, is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, front side curtain airbags do come standard. Also, rear side airbags as well. That doesn't always come standard, and it's important in a van. Driver's knee airbag as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats. Rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard across the board. Forward collision avoidance assist with pedestrian detection, driver attention warning, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, lane following assist, high beam assist, rear cross traffic alert, rear parking sensors, and rear occupant alert as well. That's all the standard stuff that even comes on the LX trim level. That's crazy. But then if you were to go with the LX seat package, you're going to also get a blind spot collision avoidance assist system. Then the EX trim level and up is going to add to that forward collision warning with cyclist detection, front and rear parking sensors, a navigation-based adaptive cruise control system with stop and go, which by the way is an excellent system on all Kia, Hyundai, Genesis products. So definitely a very nice system there. And you also get actually highway drive assist then as well, which is a brilliant system. It's almost full autonomous driving. It's crazy. But anyways, SX trims are also going to add to that a parking collision avoidance assist system in reverse as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Carnival, excellent exterior styling. I will say it's very SUV-like for a van. I like that. I like the C-pillar design in the back there. Also love that the high beams are incorporated into the front grille. It's a unique element. Makes it like nothing else on the road. I absolutely love that. Very smooth ride quality as well for it not having an adaptive suspension system, I gotta be honest. So that is definitely a good thing for a family hauler like the Carnival. VIP seating in the second row. It's one of my favorite parts, so definitely a big fan of that. Overall, great tech on the Carnival as well, with the digital gauge cluster, with the 12.3-inch infotainment screen, with the ability to spy on the rear passengers from that infotainment screen, and so on. I could keep going on the tech all day, I feel like, so definitely very nice there. Great safety with highway driving assist. I have a feeling when this thing finally gets tested by IIHS, it's probably going to be a top safety pick plus, just because of all of the advanced safety that comes with this, because LEDs come standard on this thing. So that is definitely a big plus there as well. As far as room for improvement goes, again, the only thing I could possibly think of are two things. Maybe an extra suede headliner element, miles of complimentary maintenance. That's going to save you some money there. And this is an extremely popular SUV right now, so it's going to be competing with the Kia Telluride, the Honda Pilot, and the Toyota Highlander, just to name a few. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are plenty of different trim levels for the 2023 Palisade. First one being the SE, starting at $35,250, which is a $2,100 bump from the 2022 model year actually. SEL for $38,250. XRT, which is a new trim level for 2023, starting at $40,550. Limited for $46,800. And lastly, the Calligraphy being the one we are in today, starting at $49,200. By the way, that was all pricing for the front wheel drive configuration. If you wanted to add all-wheel drive, simply add $1,900 then to any of those prices. But regardless of trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Palisade is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 3.8-liter direct injected V6, putting out 291 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 262 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 5,200 RPM. Power sent to the front wheels or all wheels through an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know, as always, we will be testing out those paddle shifters here in a little bit. 0 to 60 time coming in an impressive 7.1 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 19 in the city, 27 on the highway for the front wheel drive, 19 city, 25 then on the highway for the all-wheel drive, taking regular unleaded fuel. Gotta love the cheap stuff. But said that before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Palisade, I wanted to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's actually a circular dial located just to the right of the shift buttons. And yes, they are shift buttons. I know it's different than most other vehicles out there, so let me touch on those real quick. P is for park, R is for reverse, N is for neutral, D is for drive. It's pretty simple. You get used to it pretty easily. But anyways, back to the drive modes. They will include comfort, eco, sport, smart, snow. So plenty of different driving modes, and they do adjust quite a bit. So things like shift points, a throttle response, a steering sensitivity, the all-wheel drive system engagement. Actually, when you put it in that sport driving mode, it actually tightens up the side bolsters, I've noticed as well. That's typically something I find in like Mercedes-Benz. So love seeing it here in the Palisade. That is pretty cool to kind of hug you in place around the turn. So big fan of that. But anyways, I would also mention there is a lock button right in the middle of all those drive modes. That is going to be for the all-wheel drive lock. So let's say it's snowing out here in Pennsylvania. What I typically do on my Hyundai Santa Fe is I go ahead and press that button, and then essentially you're in full-time all-wheel drive mode then. So it powers through anything, let me tell you guys. But anyways, having now gotten all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters here to the test first, and let's see how quickly they are going to react for us here. All right, let's just go ahead and do it right here. I'm gonna start in second gear here. I just want to see how quickly these things are gonna react, but here we go. Oh, so much of a delay. All right, unfortunately there is a delay there though, but that's to be expected. I mean, with this transmission setup, it's not a dual clutch, so I wasn't really expecting it to be fast. But I will say one thing, when it snows out here in PA, one of the cool things about having paddle shifters on an SUV, you can actually just do a little bit of downshifting, so you can do a little bit of engine braking when you're going down a hill. So rather than hitting the brakes and risk sliding off the road, do a little bit of engine braking. So That's gonna assist you with braking when you're going downhill when it's snowing out. I'm just saying. But anyways, now that I've got that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and give back full control to the Palisade. I'm just gonna hit the D button for drive. That takes it out of that full manual shift mode. And by the way, it was showing the gears up there as I was shifting as well, so that's pretty cool. But let's now go ahead and do an acceleration test, and let's see how 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds really feels like in the Palisade. All right, still in sport driving mode. Let's kick it. Okay, that actually feels good. Holy cow. Yeah, that's plenty. That's definitely plenty of an acceleration to merge you onto the highway. I was talking to my sister the other day because she just actually got the brand new 2023 Palisade XRT trim level, and she said that was one thing she noticed was the acceleration was so much faster than her old Ford Edge, which I guess makes sense, but still, the acceleration is plenty quick. This thing's kind of fun, so definitely don't have any issues merging onto the highway, like I said. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so, up front, you will find 13.4-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 12.4-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, it comes in at 126 feet, which is a pretty average number for the most part. Some SUVs will be in the upper 130s. That's the worst. And the best SUVs, like Volvo and Mercedes-Benz, are going to be in the 1-teens, like 114, 115. So, 126 is right in the middle of the pack. As far as the braking feel goes, it does tend to lean on the softer side of things, so it's definitely not a firm braking feel, but it's one of those things like I have in my Hyundai Santa Fe. You get used to it. I wouldn't have minded a bit firmer of a braking feel, honestly, but it's not bad. It's pretty average for the segment. But anyways, then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. As far as ride quality goes, it's been great actually. I have no issues with the ride quality whatsoever in the Palisade here, so certainly absorbing Pennsylvania's road imperfections quite nicely. As far as steering feel goes, it does tend to lean on the looser side of things. Let me go ahead and put it back in sport driving mode. It's still on the looser side of things, so but being honest, so wouldn't have minded again if they firmed up that braking feel, but that's really not what this vehicle is for. It's not to kind of power through the turns on the back roads. It's really just to be a comfortable driver that you haul the kids in the back. So for that reason, I don't really think people are going to care that much about the steering feel, but still, for me, wouldn't have minded if it was a bit firmer there. Touching on cabin noise, we're going 14 miles per hour right now, and there really isn't any cabin noise coming into the cabin. But anyways, at higher speeds, it actually wasn't bad this year. I gotta be honest, I didn't really notice it that much, whereas in previous years, I felt like they were having some issues with cabin noise at higher speeds, like 50 plus miles per hour, and I've said that in my reviews, of previous Palisade reviews at least, but this year, it's really pretty good, I gotta be honest. And I think Hyundai might have touched that up a little bit. And the reason I say that is because acoustic laminated front windshield does come standard across the board. Acoustic laminated front door glass comes on the SEL trim level and up. And then if you were to go with the limited or calligraphy, you're actually gonna get acoustic laminated rear door glass. So since we have the calligraphy, we have an acoustic everything essentially. So that is definitely absorbing a lot of the wind noise. And it definitely, I could tell, because like I said, in previous years, it was immediately eminent that there was a ton of cab noise coming into the Palisade, but this year, it's quite good actually. It's kind of like a luxury vehicle, so I'm actually a big fan of that. They definitely improved upon that in my opinion. Then touching on visibility, I actually can see great out the back right now, and the third row is up, but the cool thing about this third row headrest is they actually fold down so they don't impede your visibility if the third row is not in use. So I am a big fan of that. They did a good job with that. Rain sensing windshield wipers are going to come on the limited and calligraphy, and a head-up display once again coming on the limited and calligraphy trim level. So essentially I am looking at right now, when it comes to forward visibility, I'm looking at my speed limit, and safety features projected up on my windshield here. So that is definitely going to assist with forward visibility there as well. But that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2023 Hyundai Palisade. All right, you guys, here she is, the new 2023 Hyundai Palisade. Let me first start with what's new on the exterior for 2023. Slightly more aggressive front fascia. It's slightly been reworked. Specifically, the front grille is a different design, a little bit larger of a front grille, more of a square-shaped front grille as well, as opposed to a rounded off look. XRT trim offers a slightly more ground clearance up front as well than the other trim levels. It's kind of the off-road trim, I guess you could call it, if there was one for the Palisade. So Did want to emphasize that as well. But let me go ahead and start with where this one is made. You never know where Hyundais are made because they're either made really in the US here, at least in the US, or they're made in Korea. So for this one, VIN number is going to start with the K. So the Palisade is built in South Korea. That is pretty cool. But anyways, let's go ahead and start up front. Let me start with the color on this one. Robust Emerald is the color name, and it is only available on the calligraphy trim level. So let me actually get up a little bit closer, because when the sun hits this, it's actually like this really regal looking metallic color. So I'm not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but it does look pretty cool when the sun hits it, I will say that. So big fan of this color because it's kind of darker in the shade, but then it's this cool rich emerald looking color when it hits the sun. So I do like that, but only available on the calligraphy. So LED headlights do come standard on all trim levels across the board. You get the automatic feature with that as well, meaning when it starts to get dark at night, the headlights will turn on automatically for you there. Automatic high beams coming standard on every single trim level across the board. I always love that feature. So if you have your high beams on at night, it senses the vehicle coming in the opposite direction. It's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams there. LED accent lighting, that definitely looks good. LED daytime running lights as well. Front skid plates are actually going to come standard on all trim levels across the board as well. They're going to be finished in different colors though. So for the most part, they're going to be finished in silver, but they're going to be finished in black with the XRT, and then finished in a satin chrome for the calligraphy that we have here today. And I do like kind of that satin chrome trim at the bottom portion of the front lip there as well. You got some front air curtains just to the sides of the headlights there, kind of helping direct air around the wheel and tire combination. And you got the adaptive cruise control sensor kind of near the very bottom here. I'm going to try to show it to you guys. That's going to be what monitors the vehicle in front of you, so that is pretty cool there as well. But very different, very unique looking front end. It's really like nothing else on the road, so it definitely makes a statement, but that pretty much rounds out the front. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the side. All right, so now making our way to the side of the Palisade here. Roof rails are going to come standard on the SEL trim level and up, so that SE is not going to get it. Finished in silver for all trim levels but the XRT. Obviously the XRT is going to be adding a bunch of black accents rather than the silver or satin chrome, so that's pretty much the general theme there. Black crossbars coming with the XRT trim level in case you wanted to throw a Christmas tree up there. That is pretty cool. Rear privacy glass is going to come standard across the board. Satin chrome window surrounds coming standard across the board as well. Door handle welcome lights coming on the SEL trim level and up. I absolutely love that. Matte black side skirts are going to come on the SE and SEL trims, and there's going to be a unique design of black side skirts for the XRT, obviously. Body colored side skirts then coming with the limited and calligraphy, and that is what you guys are looking at right now. And that comes with the body colored fender surrounds as well, which definitely look good here. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors do come standard. They will be heated. They will also though be auto dimming. Love that, dimming the high beams of the person behind you. And you will get LED integrated turn signals then as well, and they are a very cool design to those LED integrated turn signals. Most manufacturers will just put a single line of LED lighting, but it's kind of a cool C-shaped design, so I like that. Then take a look at the wheel configuration. 18-inch alloys for the SE and SEL, 20-inch XRT exclusive wheels for the XRT trim level, obviously, 20-inch alloys for the limited, and then 20-inch calligraphy exclusive wheels for the calligraphy trim level. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile here. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back. And so, but now since we are around to the back of this one, body colored shark fin antenna found all the way to the top. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. But I will say on the calligraphy trim level that we have today, there's going to be a calligraphy exclusive high mount stoplight. So a little bit different of a look than the other trim levels. So I did want to mention that. Rear window wiper, of course, coming standard. You got the Palisade lettering spelled out horizontally, finished in chrome back there. The H-track badging, that's going to be Hyundai's all-wheel drive system. Every manufacturer names their all-wheel drive system, and for Hyundai and Genesis for that matter, it is called H-track, in case you were curious. Silver accenting on the inside portion of those taillights. I like that design element. Halogen bulbs for the taillights coming with the SE, but all other trim levels being the SEL trim level and up, you will get LED taillights, so that's going to be a little added illumination at night there. Silver accenting on the lower portion of that rear bumper. That definitely looks quite good. And then there is a single exhaust outlet with dual satin chrome tips for all trims across the board. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, and so now since we are around to the back of the Palisade, when it comes to opening that rear tailgate, it is going to be a hands-free power tailgate for the limited and calligraphy. That is pretty darn cool. So just kick your foot up underneath. When you have the key fob in your pocket, it's going to automatically open up for you. So I absolutely love that. There is a button on the key fob and of course the tailgate itself as well. But once opened up, when it comes to cargo capacity, I'll give you some comparisons between the competition as well here. 18 cubic feet behind that third row. With that third row folded down, it comes in at 45.8 cubic feet. And with all rows folded down, 86.4 cubic feet. So that's pretty darn good. So for comparison's sake, my personal 3-row Hyundai Santa Fe comes in at 80 cubic feet. So this thing is bigger than that. 87 cubic feet for the Pilot and 84.3 cubic feet for the Toyota Highlander, just to name a couple there. So it's pretty much right where it should be when it comes to the competition. So they're all pretty much the same, maybe Highlander a little bit smaller, but definitely plenty of space in this thing. Of course, there's a 60-40 split for those rear seats. Buttons in the cargo area though to fold down the rear seats there. I was a big fan of that, at least on a calligraphy trim level. So I like seeing that. Grocery bag hooks can be found back there. LED cargo lighting as well. There's a 12-volt power outlet. There are tie-down anchors. There's actually seatbelt hooks for the third row seatbelts if that third row was not in use and you just wanted to use that back there for cargo, so the seatbelts don't get in the way. I kind of like that. And there's actually some in-floor storage as well, where you could put the cargo cover, which is where it is right now, but also you could probably put an ice scraper or a tire inflator kit or whatever you want to do back there as well. So big fan of the in-floor storage. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the third row legroom. 31.4 inches for reference. I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in that third row. There are rear cup holders for those third row passengers, and really the third row I think is done better in the Palisade than any other SUV out there right now. Here's why. So you get rear ventilation that's found on the roof or the ceiling of this thing, I guess you could say. Third row charging ports, phone charging ports for the limited and calligraphy. So last year they were actually the USB-C. It looks like this year is the USB-A. So a little bit of difference there, but still the fact that the third row gets charging ports is pretty darn impressive, but it doesn't stop there. The third row also gets rear heated seats. So a lot of times SUVs will add rear heated seats in the second row as a very fancy option, but for the third row, that's kind of unheard of. So that is absolutely wonderful. So well done Hyundai for putting that back there, at least on our calligraphy trim. I'm just saying. Second row legroom coming in at 42.4 inches for reference. I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the second row then. And of course the second row is adjustable, so you can move it forward if you have third row passengers, or you can slide it back. It's up to you. Captain's chairs configuration coming with the SEL trim level and up. If you wanted bench seating, that comes standard on the SE. It is optional then for the SEL if you wanted to go that route, but for the most part it's a captain's chair setup. Second row automatic climate control coming with the SEL trim level and up, so your passengers can set their own temperatures back there. Dual USB charging ports for all trim levels across the board. Heated rear seats coming on the limited and calligraphy trim levels. Ventilated rear seats as well. That's insane. Coming on the limited and calligraphy trim levels as well. 115-volt power outlet for the limited and calligraphy. 12-volt power outlet as well. And rear window sunshades for the limited and calligraphy. So if you really wanted to spoil the rear passengers, essentially what I'm saying is the limited and calligraphy trim levels are definitely where it's at. And there's these cool little netted side pockets on the inside portion of those rear seats as well. So that's not something you typically see. And as far as the rear charging ports, you might miss this because a lot of times they're found just below kind of the center climate control settings and all that. But in this case, they're actually found on the side of the front seats. And then you could put the actual phone on the seat back map pockets, I guess you could say, because a lot of times if you put them in the middle, they'll get tripped on with third row passengers. So Hyundai thought of this idea to put them on the side of the back of the front seats, whereas they're not in the way for third row passengers. Crawl at the middle back here to get to the third row, so I like that idea as well. But then make your way up to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seating for the SE trim level. SEL and XRT is going to add to that high-tech trim seats, 8-way power driver's seat with 2-way power lumbar, and heated front seats then as well. Limited trim level is going to add to that leather seating, 4-way power lumbar, a thigh cushion extension for the driver, ventilated front seats, and then memory settings. And then the calligraphy is going to add to that premium Napa leather, and that ergo motion driver seat, meaning you put it in that sport driving mode and the side bolsters are going to tighten up a little bit, just like Mercedes-Benz does in their G-Wagon. So yeah, you got the same feature in the Palisade as a $200,000+ G-Wagon. That is pretty darn cool. So overall, needless to say, in our calligraphy specifically, with the 4-way power lumbar adjustment, with the ergo motion driver seat, seating was plenty comfortable. You're not going to have any issues with taking this thing on the long road trip. Then taking a look at the steering wheel, it is of course tilt and telescoping. It telescoped out plenty far for me. It is leather wrapped for the SEL trim level and up. It is a two-toned leather wrapped for the calligraphy, although you could see where it would be two-toned, kind of like Volvo tends to do, but it's not two-toned in our particular spec. It's just all black. It's an all black interior here, but anyways, it could be two-toned if you wanted it. Heated steering wheel coming then with the limited and calligraphy as well. But then take a look at the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. You do have your Hyundai logo on the one side, all of your buttons found on the other side of the key. Lock, unlock, the button to pop the rear tailgate. The hold button is going to be a remote start, and the two P buttons with the vehicle picture, that's going to be your SMAT pack. So essentially, if you're parked in a spot that's a little bit too close for the kids to get into the rear doors there without slamming it into the vehicle beside you, you can go ahead and make sure the vehicle's locked, push the remote start, then go ahead and use that SMAT pack to go ahead and pull the vehicle out so your kids can get in without smacking the vehicle beside you. So that's pretty cool. And it is a keyless entry with the push button start for all trim levels, and you do get a digital key as well for the SEL trim level and up that you can use your phone essentially to start this one up and get in and out without having to use the keys. But I'm just going to put my foot on the brake and press that silver engine start button located just to the left of the air vent there. And so once started up, analog gauges with a 4.2-inch screen is going to come with the SE, SEL, and XRT trim levels. However, if you were to go with the limited or calligraphy, you're going to get what you're currently looking at right now, which is a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. And these gauges are slightly different than the previous year, actually. So they're a little bit reworked as well. And that's the cool thing about digital gauges. I would imagine it's just a software update that can completely change the look for the next model year. So I don't think they had to do too much to switch that up, but I do like it. It looks very good, a nice calming look to it. And there are steering wheel mounted controls found on the right side of the steering wheel that allows you to adjust between a bunch of different things. There's outside temperature, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. Speedometer's on the left, tachometer is on your right. And you know what I just noticed? The tachometer no longer spins backwards, that I'm used to seeing at least. It actually spins in a clockwise motion now, whereas in previous years, it was a counterclockwise motion. So that is interesting that they switched that up. I guess they obviously watched my video and then they're like, you know what? We are doing this really different. Why don't we switch? I don't know. I didn't mind it before. I'm just saying. Anyways, then touching on overall interior quality, there is a conventional sunroof for the XRT. There is dual panel sunroof then for the limited and calligraphy. So rear passengers have their own sunroof back there as well. LED interior lighting for the SEL trim level and up. You got the school bus style mirrors. You could spy on the rear passengers if you like. That's fun. Cloth headliner coming with the SE, SEL, and XRT trim levels. Melange headliner for the limited. I showed that in last year's review. I did the limited there. And then you got this microfiber headliner for the calligraphy. And yes, it feels like microfiber, just like the cloth that you would clean your vehicle with. So it's exactly like that. It's pretty cool. 64 colors of ambient lighting coming with the calligraphy trim level only. Love the ambient lighting in this thing, but last year they put it on the limited as well. So Hyundai, put it back on the limited, come on, because the ambient lighting really is pretty darn cool. There's so many different color options. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls for the SEL trim level and up. Dual zone climate control for the SEL trim level and up. Wireless phone charger for the SEL trim level and up. Quilted leather door panels for the calligraphy. Fancy, man. I like that. But the best thing about Hyundai really in general with all of their vehicles is they tend to not overlook the details. So for example, on the power window buttons, most of the manufacturers in its class will leave them kind of like a matte black plastic, but with Hyundai, yes, they're still plastic, but they finish them in a nice silver color. Along with the actual surrounds to these window buttons, they finished it in the silver design, which is also found around the shift buttons and the drive mode buttons and all that fun stuff as well. So I like the attention to detail that they put even on the vents themselves. They're a nice texturized finish to them, so like that as well. You got some cool hidden storage found just underneath of all the shift buttons, so perhaps girls could hide their purse down there or something like that if you wanted to. There are dual cup holders, and the cool part about those cup holders is that they actually fold away if they were not in use, and then you just simply press a button and they slide open immediately. So that is pretty cool as well. There is a wireless phone charger down there and Travis's business card in case you were interested. And then within the center armrest, there's actually a ton of storage in here, and there's a couple bucks as well. So honestly, overall, the interior quality, especially for its class, it does not get any better than this. I would dare say this is the best interior quality without a doubt in its class. What other SUVs in its class do you know that have this microfiber headliner or all of the little attention to details that the Palisade has? I'm just saying. But anyways, now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen, because again, this is new for 2023. 12.3-inch color touchscreen display coming standard for every single trim level across the board. I love that, because last year when I reviewed the 2022 Palisade, it was an 8-inch screen, I believe, for the SE and SEL, and then I think it was a 10.25-inch screen for the remainder of the trim levels. So 12.3 inches now for every single trim level. So maybe that's part of the reason why the price went up as well. So ton of new tech for this one. Bluetooth and audio streaming coming standard, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. Factory navigation system, standard for every single trim level across the board. Gotta love that. You check out your climate control settings up there. There is a voice memo system, so you can record your voice and then play it back at a later date if you did not want to forget something. That's pretty cool. There's also your ambient lighting settings up there. You can adjust the colors, of course. There's a passenger talk system, which essentially projects your voice into the rear seats so the kids can better hear you yelling at them. There's quiet mode, so if your kids are sleeping on a long road trip in the back, it completely eliminates the speakers, the rear speakers, but limits them to like 7 or 8 in the front so you don't wake them up. So that is pretty cool as well. There is no more sounds of nature apparently, and that's fine. I don't imagine many people probably use that. Of course, you can check out your radio information up there though. 6 speakers coming with the SE, SEL, and XRT trim levels, and then a 12-speaker Harman Kardon sound system coming with the limited and the calligraphy, and that is the one that we have today. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and